A healthy nation is a wealthy nation. What steps are you taking to be healthy this year? Well, hope today's show can help you. Welcome to this health-focused edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Coming up in the program, Creating Excellence in Healthcare, a look back at the 2013 achievements of the Health Ministry. Plus, as we celebrate Earthquake Awareness Week, we find out if Jamaicans know what to do during an earthquake. This and more right after the news.
We must all stop blaming each other. Teachers blaming parents, parents blaming teachers, everybody blaming the ministry. Let it be clear, Mr. Speaker, we will not be grooming children towards same-sex unions, and we will not be distributing condoms in schools.
Good nutrition is very important for our students to learn.
This is not a once-off occasion. We want to set up a special division that looks at the availability in the teaching profession.
Those and more undertaken by the Ministry of Education in 2013. The year in review inside Jamaica Magazine.
We must take charge of the change in our sphere and hold ourselves accountable. This is the call to action.
Good day, I'm Samantha Allen and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, January 14. Cabinet continued its special two-day meeting on Tuesday to finalize capital spending and priorities for the 2014-2015 financial year. A release from the Office of the Prime Minister said on Monday, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller emphasized the importance of growth and job creation under the Economic Reform Program. In a presentation to Cabinet, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce highlighted the need to support small and medium-sized businesses. The ministry also underscored that enterprise zones would foster industrial development so that Jamaica could exploit the opportunities from the upcoming logistics hub. The government has identified 4 strategic priorities for the upcoming financial year: the maintenance of fiscal stability, the preservation of national security and justice, infrastructural and human resource development, and social protection programs. The Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC, is cautiously optimistic that Jamaica will pass the 3rd quarterly IMF test. Under the Extended Fund Facility with the International Monetary Fund, Jamaica must meet all quantitative targets and structural benchmarks for the October to December period. For the quantitative targets, EPOC's chairman Richard Bowles revealed that as at December 2013, the net international reserves stood at $1.53 billion, $216.5 million more than budgeted. And as at November 2013, the primary balance was also $1.2 billion more than projected, closing at $42.5 billion.
We expect that we would have fulfilled the most important criteria to pass the 3rd quarterly IMF test. On that basis, the outlook of the EPOC is that of continued cautious optimism that we will meet all of the IMF targets.
3 critical pieces of legislation were passed in Parliament to ensure that Jamaica meets its structural benchmarks under the IMF agreement: the Secured Interest in Personal Property, Fiscal Incentives, and Securities Amendment Acts.
I see the government doing what we said they must do. I think it is up to us now in the private sector, myself included, to do what we think is good business, which is to invest and to look out for opportunities.
This, he said, would lead to further growth in the economy. In the meantime, EPOC is expecting that the government collected more money in December 2013 than it did in November. EPOC's chairman Richard Bowles explains why.
It's the end of our quarter, and therefore estimated corporate taxes get paid at the end of December, not so for November. And also this phenomena where the month ends on a weekend, And so GCT returns, which are due at the end of the month, some of them don't get paid in that month, but roll over into the following month.
Mr. Bowles' pronouncement came amid concerns that tax revenues were about $10 billion lower than projected at the end of November. This was due mainly to a shortfall in international trade taxes as a result of lower imports and a shortfall in income tax. However, to meet the revenue shortfall, Mr. Bowles disclosed that the government slashed recurrent expenditure by $6.8 billion and capital expenditure by $7.3 billion. The Lottery Scam Task Force has secured its first conviction in the circuit court after a man pleaded guilty for breaches of the Law Reform Fraudulent Transactions Special Provisions Act. A release from the Constabulary Communications Network, CCN, revealed that the 21-year-old man of Grange Pen, Lilliput, St. James, who was arrested on December 28 last year, pleaded guilty before the court. Following his arrest, a search revealed a book containing names, addresses, and phone numbers of persons living abroad and other lottery scamming paraphernalia. He is to be sentenced on January 24. And finally, local experts say preparations are being made to ensure Jamaica can handle the expected challenges of the 2014 drought season. Technical experts within the Ministry of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change are leading those efforts. A number of measures are being implemented to address water concerns that are likely to result from the dry season, which is normally between December and March.
We're going to start doing some drought mitigation measures. And for the Constant Spring zone, which is where the Hermitage Jam feeds, we will start doing restrictions next week at 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. to ensure that we can go through the 3-month drought period and hope that the May rains occur.
The NWC says many restrictions will not be placed on those communities using the Mona Dam. As for the rural parishes, trucking of water and other measures for their water systems are being addressed. Western parishes are expected to be most affected by the dry spell this year. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Samantha Allen. Thanks for watching.
Join the fight. Quit smoking for life.
No smoking was the mantra in 2013 with the tobacco regulations implemented. Plus, there were infrastructure improvements with the creation of Centers of Excellence. Hear more about these achievements and more in today's Year in Review of the Ministry of Health.
Creating systems of excellence and advancing the health agenda for everyone were at the core of the Ministry of Health's mission in 2013.
And it is rolling out quite nicely.
In 2012, Health Minister Dr. Fenton Ferguson announced that 4 health centers would be transformed into centers of excellence.
Today we are signing the first contract, and it is our expectations that the work will move speedily ahead.
That contract was for the Santa Cruz Health Center in St. Elizabeth. Phase 1 of the work was completed in late November. The same was true for the Darliston Center of Excellence in Westmoreland. Meanwhile, work continues on the Claremont Center of Excellence in St. Anne and Isaac Barrett in St. Thomas.
The whole idea is to improve both the diagnostic requirements, improve the physical infrastructure, inclusive of fencing in terms of security and the general aesthetics, while also improving our equipment base.
The whole idea is to improve primary healthcare services as part of government's stated strategy to advance human capital development. Significant infrastructure improvements were also advanced beyond the perimeters of the centers of excellence. At the primary level, both the Chepstow Health Center in Portland and the Mavis Bank Health Center in St. Andrew were upgraded.
The rehabilitation works included re-roofing, construction of bathroom and laundry facilities, electrical rewiring, erection of a perimeter chain link fence, and installation of additional water storage tanks, among other features.
Secondary and tertiary level health facilities were also improved. Black River Hospital's maternity ward was renovated at a cost of $12 million. $8.3 million was spent upgrading Princess Margaret Hospital's X-ray department. A perimeter fence was erected and work continues on its accident and emergency department. Ground was broken for the expansion of the Cornwall Regional Hospital's hemodialysis unit, even as its kitchen was refurbished and a new standby generator installed. St. Ansbury Regional Hospital's surgical facilities is being expanded and upgraded at a cost of approximately $140 million.
Which entails the construction of a 3,572 square foot building, which will house 2 additional theater suites, staff lounge, and consultants' offices, along with a 6-bed recovery area.
Cabinet also approved the construction of a $200 million medical facility to be built in St. James as part of efforts to boost health tourism in Jamaica. And Bustamante Hospital's surgical ward and burn unit were reopened after a $5.7 million refurbishing project.
It is essential that as the only specialist pediatric facility in the English-speaking Caribbean, the Bustamante Hospital is equipped to manage this increasing number of children and their parents and guardians.
In February, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller broke ground for a cardiac wing at the same hospital. It's scheduled to be completed in 2014, significantly reducing the number of children on the waiting list for heart surgeries. And after receiving a concept paper for a child and adolescent hospital in Western Jamaica, the Health Ministry made a submission to the Development Bank of Jamaica to invite private participation. In the last calendar year, millions of dollars was spent upgrading the stock of equipment right across the public health sector.
Life-saving treatment for cancer will be moving at warp speed.
New X-ray machines were bought to improve diagnostic services at the Princess Margaret, Anotta Bay, Maypen, and Mandeville regional hospitals.
The unit eliminates the need for the use of a processor to develop the images, and so it decreases the turnaround time. It also allows physicians to access the images remotely.
Meanwhile, 48 fogging machines costing $9 million were purchased to improve the ministry's ability to fight dengue fever and other mosquito-transmitted diseases. That effort was further supported by 14 new vehicles handed over by the National Health Fund costing $38 million. To improve emergency care, 19 new ambulances were purchased at a cost of $80 million.
As we go forward, annually, we will put additional numbers of ambulances.
The National Blood Transfusion Services storage capacity was expanded with the acquisition of a new refrigerator costing $1.5 million. A 15-seater bus for mobile blood collection services was later donated by the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO.
In collaboration with PAHO, a 5-year strategic plan has been developed. My ministry is pleased to receive 200 wheelchairs, 4 theater lights, 51 sofas, 40 hospital beds, and 2 stretchers from Food for the Poor.
In addition, the Kingston Public Hospital received over 100 wheelchairs from several non-profit groups valued at $4 million, while the St. Ansbury Regional Hospital accepted an echocardiogram or ECG machine to enhance its diagnostic services. The Portia Simpson Miller-led administration made a commitment in 2013 to apply fiscal prudence in the management of the country's affairs. The Health Ministry was on board, organizing important public consultations on sustainable ways to finance the public health sector.
Whichever mechanism or combination we choose In the end, it must be sustainable and must ensure that the most vulnerable are not marginalized.
In the meantime, the Cabinet granted approval for the phased introduction of the Government of Jamaica GOJ Health Card.
The card will facilitate better monitoring and identification. It will also take into account private health insurance so that instances where charges arise, we can better, adequately and quickly deal with it.
The Health Ministry in 2013 developed a comprehensive plan to tackle chronic non-communicable diseases (NCDs) in Jamaica from 2013 to 2018, and that plan was later approved by Cabinet. A single authority for sexual and reproductive health was created through the integration of the National Family Planning Board and aspects of the National HIV Program. The ministry entered into a partnership with the University of the West Indies and the Jamaica Medical Association to carry out prostate cancer research over the next 5 years. And the delivery of pharmacy services hit a new high as the National Health Fund moved into all hospitals and health centers to provide a more technology-driven, customer-focused, and efficiently managed service.
Under Section 14 and 15 of the Public Health Act, and with the approval of Cabinet, I have executed the public health tobacco control regulations.
With those words, on July 15, 2013, tobacco smoking with its over 40 cancer-causing agents became unlawful in specified public places. In October, Minister Ferguson announced that there had been a 20% reduction in asthmatic admissions to hospitals since the imposition of the policy.
Within another couple of years, you will see as happened in Northern Ireland and other countries, less heart attack, less stroke. And this is not at any big cost. All I ask of Jamaica is for support. That's all I'm asking.
More efficient management of the healthcare system, public-private partnerships, effective primary health care. The Ministry of Health in 2013, supporting human capital development.
Show how much you know about the Global Logistics Hub to be established in Jamaica and get the opportunity to win some cool prizes, including cash and a trip to Panama, by entering the Global Logistics Hub essay competition. If you are between 15 and 35 years, write an essay in 2,000 words or less on the theme Jamaica's Global Logistics Hub, the big opportunity for Jamaica and the world. Essays should be typed using either Arial or Times New Roman font, double-spaced, and include the participant's name, address, telephone number, and email address. Drop them off at the offices of the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, 4 St. Lucia Avenue, Kingston 5, by 2 p.m. on January 17, 2014, or send by email to logisticsessay@miic.gov.jm. Call 754-2164 or 754-4719 to find out more.
As we continue our major focus on health today, let's take a look at an issue that's a concern to the health sector and many parents: diabetes in children. Get some more details now, and here's some preventative measures you can start putting in place.
Some people think diabetes is an old age condition, but not so. It's actually pretty common in children. In fact, the World Health Organization says millions of children across the world have diabetes, but many parents do not know that their children are living with the disease. Do you know that approximately 2% of adolescents, young people between 15 and 19 years old in Jamaica, have diabetes? That's what we hear from the Ministry of Health. To deal with the problem, this government body has been regularly promoting healthy lifestyle practices. The strategy is meant to reduce or prevent the incidence of diabetes in children. Diabetes is a lifestyle disease that is affecting a number of Jamaicans, both children and adults. Doctors say you're diabetic if your pancreas is not producing enough insulin. Here to tell us more about this condition is Professor Errol Morrison, President of the Diabetes Association of Jamaica. Professor Morrison, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What are the different types of diabetes and which is more common in children?
Just before I get into that, in your introduction, you said if the pancreas is not producing enough insulin. But there are other situations where the pancreas is producing adequate insulin, but the body is not using it properly. So, you know, that right away differentiates the two. And when we begin to speak about children in particular, which is our focus today, we are talking mostly about where the pancreas is not producing insulin. So you're dead on. Now, why does the pancreas not produce enough insulin? It can be a variety of reasons. Most commonly, in children, it might simply be an infection. You might be surprised to hear that certain viral illnesses, even the good old mumps and the flu, can result in damage to the pancreas, and thus it won't function. Having just explained the underlying cause, these are categorized in two main types. Where the pancreas is not able to function because it's damaged, that is type 1, which is where the individual will need the injection of insulin. You have to put back what the pancreas would normally produce. That's type 1. Where the young person is now gaining weight and developing the diabetes because of the lifestyle, that's type 2. In bygone days, you never heard of type 2 in children. And that's why we're so concerned now that you're seeing both the types 1 and 2 in the young.
How can you prevent it in your children?
What we need to do is to reach out to parents, guardians, friends, peers, all those who, for example, suspect that they may be more prone to developing diabetes. If there's a family history, mother, father, aunt, cousin with diabetes, then you should be advising these young children, watch out, you know, keep your weight down. How are you going to do that? More physical activity. Let's get out and play cowboy and Indians again, right? Instead of just watching all the computers and so on at the parties. Get them into more games.
I am Dacia, and you're watching Jamaica Magazine. Be a change maker to someone today.
Prime Minister calls for a regional effort to market the Caribbean as a tourist destination. High praises for new grassroots athletics program and a new head of public sector transformation and modernization appointed. This is Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Samantha Allen. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller opened the 2014 Caribbean Travel Marketplace in Montego Bay Sunday, calling for a unified front in marketing the region as a tourist destination. According to Mrs. Simpson Miller, CARICOM needs to play a greater role in marketing the region.
CARICOM must also reposition itself along those lines by building on frameworks and institutions we have already established. We must remain on the cutting edge. Our Mediterranean competition acts on that basis. And so the Latin America tourism establishments are rapidly embracing that approach.
Described as a premier tourism marketing event, the trade show, which started Sunday, will run until Wednesday with over 1,200 delegates participating. The 2014 staging is a result of a partnership involving the Caribbean Tourism and Hotel Association, the Jamaica Tourist Board, and the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. Mrs. Simpson Miller last week announced the appointment of Venice Pottinger Scott as the Director General of the Public Sector Transformation and Modernization Unit in the Office of the Cabinet. The appointment takes effect January 13 and solidifies the merger of the Public Sector Modernization and Transformation Units. And during the week, the Prime Minister met with Miss Jamaica World 2013, Gina Harjitai, the island's representative to the 4th Pan-African Youth Leadership Summit of the United Nations to be held in Dakar, Senegal. Ms. Harjitai was on her way to deliver Mrs. Simpson Miller's message to the summit. The beauty queen also addressed the forum on youth unemployment. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller extended condolences to the family and friends of former Senator and nursing stalwart Dr. the Honorable Mary Jane Seavright. Mrs. Simpson Miller described Dr. Seavright as a true daughter of Jamaica, a public servant par excellence, and a pioneer. The Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission last week began its disciplinary hearing into the adverse analytical findings of blood samples submitted by Olympian Sharon Simpson. The three-member panel began hearing testimony Wednesday at the Jamaica Conference Center. Ms. Simpson has denied any wrongdoing. The hearing continues this week. Minister without portfolio with responsibility for sport Natalie Nita Headley had a packed schedule this past week, attending several sporting engagements. On Wednesday, Mrs. Nita Headley lent her support to the Digicel MVP Track Club's grassroots athletics program, saying it would enhance the government's $250 million high school sports infrastructure improvement program.
I'm happy that your grassroots program will not only focus on athletics and learning how to run and how to jump, but it will also focus on good ethics, good moral ethics and values and discipline. And so this high school infrastructure program, which will see the improvement of the facilities, sporting facilities at 24 high schools, really will have the support system of a grassroots program, because none of our sporting disciplines do well unless there's a grassroots program attached to it.
The All-Island project will expose students, coaches, and physical education teachers to world-class track and field training during 5-week training sessions. Participants will get well-needed training in sprints, hurdles, relays, throws, jumps, and middle-distance running. On Thursday, Mrs. Nita Headley endorsed Grace Kennedy Money Services' sponsorship of swimmer Aliyah Atkinson. Mrs. Nita Headley also met with China's ambassador to Jamaica, where the two spoke of plans to deepen sporting relations between both countries. And the Prime Minister and Minister Nita Headley made their presence felt at the RJR Sportsman and Woman of the Year award ceremony. Olympians Usain Bolt and Shelley and Fraser Price received the top honors. And that's it for this week's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. We return next week with the latest happenings out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Drop, cover, and hold on. Yes, the next few days, January 12 to 18, is being celebrated as Earthquake Awareness Week. So in today's Outer Road, we asked Jamaicans, what should you do during an earthquake?
During an earthquake, the best thing to do is either to find yourself under a table or a desk, or to stand in a doorpost, or if you're inside a building, to get outside into the open.
Well, I would go underneath the door barrier, or door jamb, or under the desk.
I know the right thing to do, which is probably to get under a table or the door.
I heard that if you're inside, you're supposed to go under the door. Under the door for it's safer under the door and under the table.
And that's it for the program today. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that 2014 will be the year that you take greater care of your health. It can only do you good. We'd love to hear from you, so send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. Plus, follow us on Twitter at JIS News, and please visit our website, jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson, wishing you health and prosperity.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.